Hello class, today's topic is cashew nut processing. As you can see in the picture, this is the single cashew nut kernel. The single cashew nut is called technically as cashew nut kernel. Now you can see this one is the raw cashew nut kernel with the cover on it. This is the papery cover which is covered during harvest on the cashew nut. Now you can see the cashew nut tree with cashew nuts. You can see here these are cashew nuts and this is cashew nut apple. From cashew nut apple, the cashew nut is grown. Now this cashew nut apple is locally cooked and eaten. Generally it is locally cooked and eaten and turned into wine called Feni. Now these are the raw cashew nut apples with cashew nut. As you can see, the green cashew nut apple and raw cashew nuts are there. So you can recognize the tree as well as the raw cashew nuts with the shell on it. Now this is the picture of a cashew nut shell product. In, in the cashew nut shell there are three layers and the middle layer of the shell is soft and contains a fluid which is converted into a tannin based product, as you can see or recognize by the color that it is a tannin product which is used in industry. And this picture depicts that it comes from the cashew nut shell. Now cashew nut. The scientific or botanical name of the cashew nut is Anacarlium occidentale and the family is Anacoliaceae. It is a kind of drought resistant plant, hence it is termed as not termal. It is not L here in termed, it is TERMED, hence termed as gold mine of wastelands, because it is a very fruitful crops in terms of export as well as the local market, and its commercial value is quite high. That's why, and it's a drought resistant plant, so it need of irrigation and care is less, so it is called gold mine of wastelands. Now it is export oriented commercial crop. From the total world production of 100%, India produces 60% of the cashew nut and 30% of the cashew nut in the world, 31% is produced by Brazil. Cashew nut ranks third in world edible nut area. It is the third edible nut in the world. India is the largest producer in view of cashew nuts, that is 43%. Now 60% is the total cashew nut and 43% in terms of kernel, that is the edible part of the cashew nut. Major importers or the buyer from the India imports to US, Netherlands, Germany, UK, Japan. Now what are the products of cashew nuts? First is raw nut, that is covered or shelled or skinned cashew nut, then cashew kernel, the single kernel without the shell or the cover, and third is CNSL, that is cashew nut shell liquid. We have seen the picture of cashew nut shell liquid. This is the picture of cashew nut shell liquid. Now the fourth product we have already discussed, that cashew apple processed and consumed locally and converted into fenny. So these are the some details, and now the structure. The fruit consists of, the cashew fruit consists of epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. These three are the epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp are the cover part, and the testa and kernel is the part of the kernel. Now kernel or raw cashew nut is covered with leathery outer skin, epicarp and thin hard skin endocarp, and mesocarp contain a juice which is converted into CNSL, cashew nut shell liquid. Now cashew apple we have discussed, converted into fenny through fermentation, that is an alcoholic beverages. Now these are the detailed. 60% of cashew nut kernel is used for snacks, 40% for converting into confectionery and sweets, and mesocarp is the thickest of three layers, not layers. This is the Y layers, LAYERS. It is spongy and vacuolar in nature. Vacuolar means it can hold liquid into it, and liquid is dominantly tannin. So we know, and tannins are in form of sticky, resinous, corrosive oil. Okay. Medicinal use is the highest of CNSL. Now we know the all use, and it is rich in fat, 46% fat, then protein 18%. It is a good source of calcium, phosphorus, iron, then high in polyunsaturated fatty acid like linoleic. These are the good fat because they are unsaturated fatty acid, and these don't increase the level of cholesterol. A good source of vitamin C1, calcium and iron. Cashew nut has three parts: kernel, shell and adhering testa or the germ part. Now the primary product of cashew nut is kernel, which is edible portion of nut and is consumed in three ways. We know all that things. Now cashew apple, which is converted into which is converted into alcoholic beverage fenny, is rich in vitamin C and contains 5 times more vitamin C than orange. Now the cashew processing. Cashew processing is also known as recovery of edible kernel, as edible kernel is the primary product or most important product of the from the cashew processing. It can be done by manual or mechanical means. Then cashew nut can be procured by directly from farmers, from local market or commissioning agents, or from imports. Now the standard and specification, the first tests that are done for the quality of the cashew nut is, first is visual test, size, color of the nut is checked, and second is the floating test. About 5 kg sample is put in a vessel containing water. After continuous stirring, floaters are collected and counted percentage is calculated. Now, from floating test, how we judge the quality. Now we know the floating test. What will float? If the weight is high and the structure is intact, the cashew nut kernel will go into the bottom and sediment. If the structure is disturbed, if it has a hole in it, it is hollow or lower in weight, then it will float. So, about 5 kg of a sample in a one batch is put in a vessel containing water and continuously stirred for some time, and floaters will come out and float, and floaters will be collected, and this is the measure of quality. The percentage, the more percentage of floaters is there, the lower the quality of the cashew. The lower the percentage of the floater, the higher the quality of the cashew. Now, cutting test. Raw cashew nut sample of 5 kg is collected from different bags and pull up based on kernel appearance. White, shriveled, rejects are separated. These are the wrong spellings. Reject and separated are correct. Based on kernel appearance, white, shriveled and rejects are separated. So whites are good. Shriveled means where skin is shrinked, and rejects are the wrong quality or which have damage in it. So white is good quality, shriveled and rejects are bad quality. Based on this, percentage of good kernels is calculated as it is calculated in floating test. If the percentage of shriveled and rejects are high, the quality is low. If the percentage of shriveled and rejects are low, the quality is high. Now, the processing. Traditional processing first. Traditional processing or the old method was done by sun drying of the nuts to facilitate the brittleness in the shell, and 2 to 3 days of sun drying can achieve that, and kernel is removed from the shell and then splitted on the wooden batten or with the wooden batten. We know the wooden batten, it's a kind of wooden bat, the small wooden bat, to split the shell, which is brittle by the sun drying. It is split by the impact of the wooden bat on the natural line of cleavage, and it will facilitate to come out the cashew kernels, the white cashew kernels, and kernels are removed from shell without being contaminated by CNSL. If the sun drying is more vigorous and temperature is very high, then the CNSL will leak and it will lower the quality of the white cashew nut kernel, because tannins will be all over the cashew kernel and this will lower the quality of the cashew kernel. Now, the overall view of cashew nut processing. Cashew nut processing can be done by 4 methods, that after cleaning, soaking in water and roasting can be done by 4 methods. Open pan roasting, this is not roasting, this is roasting. Then drum roasting, then hot oil roasting, and steam boiling. Boiling is missed out here, steam boiling should be here. So open pan roasting, drum roasting, hot oil roasting, and steam boiling. The object is same, the shelling, to remove the shell of the cashew nut. After shelling, shelling can be done by 2 methods, manual or mechanical. After the shelling, pre-grading is done, and after pre-grading, according to the grade, the open sun drying options, solar furnace drying, the solar spelling is wrong, solar furnace drying will be there, or then high volume fume dryer can be used. After that, drying, peeling of the shell, and grading and packaging can be done. Peeling is done to remove the leftover skin on the cashew kernel. After shelling, if something is left, then peeling will remove the part of shell or skin. Now, cleaning, sizing, and conditioning. Cleaning removes foreign matter and dust from nut. Then shelling process needs conditioning. Process is very important to achieve the highest amount of CNSL. Conditioning increases brittleness, facilitates easy removal, and conditioning is done by soaking in water in order to avoid scorching during roasting. Now, what is conditioning? Conditioning is the equalization of moisture. When we soak the cashew nuts in water, the all over cashew nut will have the same amount of moisture, and when drying will be done, the same amount of heat they all receive and same amount of change in taste and flavor will be there. So same type of batch we will receive. If any part of the cashew nut will have lower moisture and any part will have higher moisture, Without conditioning, the effect of drying or roasting will have different on different parts, and if the moisture is less, then heating can develop the burnt flavor, which is not desirable and which can have a lower quality product. Now the as we have seen the all in flow chart, we are just elaborating the flow chart. Open pan roasting, this is the easiest way to roast in the earthen pot. We know all that thing, and as the nuts are heated up, CNSL is extruded on the pan, eventually grids producing clouds of black smoke, and so loss of CNSL will be there in traditional open pan roasting method, and low cost product will be there because tannins will be all over the cashew kernel, reducing the color and quality of the cashew. Then drum roasting is there. The drum roasting involves tilting the drum at an angle over fire and roasted during the heating process, prevent the nut from burning, because the angular rotation, continuous rotation will be there. So duration of roasting can be dependent on the variety of the cashew nut. This is the procedure. It will take 3 to 5 minutes to roast the cashew nuts in a drum, and shelling output of kernels is maximum as compared to open pan method. This is the flow chart of drum roasting. After drum roasting, hand or manual shelling will be there. Then manual shelling can use wooden bat, as we know. Then tray drying, then hand peeling, which will remove the testa and tannin interactions. If there something is left from shelling, will removed by hand peeling, then grading and packaging. Then hot oil method, oil bath roasting will be there. The cashew shell oil maintain a temperature of 200 to 202 degrees centigrade for a period of about 3 minutes, whereby shell oil is recovered from the shell to maximum possible extent, leading to the increase in volume of CNSL bath. Because it's a sticky material, it gives good effect or increased volume by the oil bath processing. So if the object is to recover most amount of CNSL, then oil bath process is the best process. As you can note down the process. This is the process of oil bath, raw nuts, water conditioning, peeling, then centrifuge. Then centrifuge will facilitate the shelling, it will create the impact, and conditioning brittles the outer covering, the shell of the cashew nut. Centrifuging works on the principle of difference in density or difference in weight. The shell weight is lower than the raw cashew kernel weight. Cashew kernel is the biggest part of the cashew nut, and shell is the small part of the cashew nut in context to the weight. So the brittle part will be broken during the process of centrifuge and shelling will be facilitated, then tray drying, and the peeling will be there to remove the testa and the left part of the shell. Now steam boiling, the process is raw cashew nuts, mild roasting will be there through the steam, then shelling, mild roasting will brittle the shell, then shelling will be done, then during shelling shells will expelled, and we know that shells have the middle layer of the shell have that CNSL, and CNSL will be collected or extracted from shells, and after shelling we will receive the cashew nut, and cashew nut will go for tray drying, and tray drying is done by the hot air. After that tray drying, the next step is peeling, and peeling will remove the testa, and then grading will be done, and rehumidification will be done, and packaging will be there. So steam roasting will increase the moisture content, as it will be processed by the help of water vapor. So it is not the rehumidification, it is the dehumidification. Instead of R, write dehumidification, because nut is a dried product, and if moisture content will be higher, then the quality will be lower. Then we know the manual shelling. So generally each worker in a day can shell 50 to 20 kgs shell. So it's a process. Now the mechanical sheller, first designed by the IIT Kharagpur in India, and mechanical sheller works on the principle of compression and shear into account, as the cashew nuts are compressed and then shear will be there. So feeding section of the mechanical sheller will have hopper, and through hopper the feed will go inside, and friction will be there. Screw conveyor will go to the main sheller, and two wooden discs will be there. One will be stationary, and other is mounted on a shaft which will rotate. So one will rotate and one will static. So there will be fraction between the cashew nut kernels, and this will facilitate the shelling. So mechanical sheller has disadvantage that shelling is maybe shelling cannot be done properly if the different size of nuts are there. Now the separation of shells, then pre-grading will be there, and the after all things drying, because the processing needs conditioning, that is equalization of moisture to brittle the outer shell, but the nut is the final product is the dried one, and it needs the lower moisture content to have extended shelf life. So in the end drying will be there. So we know that sun drying can be there, mechanical drying by the tray dryer can be there. These are the specifications and time and temperature combinations for the processing of sun drying and the tray drying. Now after that, peeling of testa. After drying, the testa will be brittle and removed by rubbing by hands, and 10 to 12 kg of kernel can be peeled by an individual per day. So, using the blunt knife or gentle scraping are the method. Mechanical processing includes air blasting by the pressure of air can be there, but the breakage is higher in the mechanical process. So, basically it is done by the manual labor. Now, grading, dehumidification will be there. So, if the moisture content is high, then dehumidification will be there, like in steam boiling. If the moisture content is lower after drying, then rehumidification of the cashew nut will be there to adjust the 5% moisture content. That is the standard. 5 to 6% moisture content is the standard moisture content of the cashew nut. Now, packaging is done in by vacuum packaging or MAP, or the single seal packaging can be there. Any type of packaging will be there, and all type of packaging have different shelf lives. Now, the cashew apple processing. Cashew nut, the single cashew nut processing is done, is completed. Now, the cashew apple processing. Cashew apple is used locally in cooking, but the commercial product is fenny. It is rich in vitamin C. Major constraints in developing the fenny are the tannins, which are responsible for lower taste or astringent taste. So, basically cleaning or removing tanning is the main process used in the development of fenny from cashew apple. So, cashew wine, cashew apple juice, cashew apple syrup, canned cashew apple and cashew apple jam are the product which are produced, but these are the local products. Only cashew wine, that is fenny, is the commercial product. Now, CNSL, it is the commercial product and used in industries, medicinal industry, food industry, and different types of industries. For wine extraction, this is the flow chart for wine extraction. The selection of cashew apple, then slicing, crushing, then sterilization, filtering, and inoculation with the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Then fermentation will takes place. Then after that, filtering, pasteurization at 50 to 60 degrees centigrade, and aging for 6 months. This is the standard procedure for wine extraction or the fenny making. And these are the standards for grades for cashew kernel. These are the regional grades, then Scotch grades. So, basically these are the international grades. The whole is the best grade, then butts which are scotched, which have scotched skin, the damaged skin are called butts, and pieces which are broken. So, these are the grades, and lastly this is the composition of cashew. So, we can see the grade by Export Promotion Council. So, there are different grades for different selling point of views, national, international, and grades for states and EU and from Export Promotion Council. Now, this is the composition of cashew kernel. We can see the cashew kernels, the raw which are harvested. These are not the nuts, these are cashew kernels. As you can see, the moisture content is 80%, as high as 80%, and it is reduced to 5 to 6% to convert it into the cashew kernel. So we have seen all the, now these are the fatty acids which cashew contain. So I think it is clear, the cashew processing is clear. Now you can prepare handwritten notes based on this lecture on the topic of cashew processing.